Alright. So far I've been recording for like an hour or something, and all the videos have been really boring. You're one the like recreational who never 3-bets puts the sizing. I think we have nothing else to do but call. And we'll see. I expect him to, if he has a really good hand, like pot flop. I think we just check back here. Not the turn I wanted to see. Hopefully we can get a jack of hearts here and hit a straight flush. Nope. So he accidentally min clicks me and then just checks it. Oh, I see. Well, we lost like the stone minimum there in terms of like running a hand into another hand, so pretty chill with that. This hand's never supposed to open. Actually, yeah, it's never supposed to. I'm not gonna care about the number. Like obviously, like the fish is in the small. If he's in the big, then I'm probably like, okay, I'll just open it. But, here on this board, I think this direct under the nines, we have to build the check range. I think that hand's most likely to want to check. So, I'm gonna be checking eights the most. And where's the overbet on the turn? I think we're just gonna be pure calling this hand. We have two draws to the nuts, so. We don't call too much 8-7 here, I think, versus the overbet. Sure, I think if we call here, we block 8-5 of diamonds. He really just has to have a 5, eh? We block 8-7, but I think his bluff still may have an 8. I mean, 8-7 gets there and we block it. What would you rather have here to call? Not have a heart. He's probably not supposed to bluff hearts on the river. I don't know. I think I'm gonna call here. I don't know how I expect to be good. I'm gonna call. Yeah. Well played. I think maybe I have bad blockers there. I think you're supposed to double block 8-5 suited if you're gonna call a pair. I thought blocking the 8-7 is kind of reasonable. Because I think he's bluffing with some 8-7 on the turn. But, I don't know. Here we're gonna... On a 6 he'll do it. I haven't been playing that many hands. And here on this river, as played, I'm supposed to range bet flop. I'm gonna go for the bluff. I should have bet earlier. I guess I'll ice with the fish with the 8-7. God, I'm kind of tilted about this call, because I think it's not correct. It's hard for me to picture a Waterloo is overbluffing on that run out. So here it's BBB and he 3-bets me. Okay, I guess we just fold. Here I ISO'd him. This is the flop. I think with the 7, I don't mind bluffing. Even though we kind of have bad cards, I think it's still okay. I think this hand's just going to play better as a bet than it is going to play as a check. So I think he's going to be stabbing maybe even too often, and we still have to fold versus stab. I also think he's floating really wide, so he's going to have to overfold every single flop in the game. So, alright, let's see if we can get a stack. Made 2K earlier today, and then we like kind of lost a bunch. This is my first day back after taking like a 2-day break, and I play so bad off breaks. Also, my moods have been not too good, and I play kind of shitty when my mood's like this. So. If we can get it in. I haven't had a spot here where they 4-bet me when I have aces. It hasn't happened yet. It's crazy. Because I'll flat if he 4-bets me, flatting this hand pure, but it just hasn't happened yet. He just flats. I think on this board, aces, we need to build a some checking range, and I think aces check the most. But on this card, especially with the spade, I think we can bet half pot here. With the spade, you want to bet the most. And then on the king, I think we actually just size down. Maybe you can bet maybe we bet half pot again. Because he is floating a lot of these king x hands, and the king is a spade, so that actually kind of helps my case here. I'm actually gonna size to half. And the reason being is he has a lot of king queen clubs, king queen of hearts, king queen of diamonds, and he turns them all. So I think aces especially. I think if you had a king yourself, you'd be more inclined. But I don't mind playing the half pot again. I think 1/3's too small for the SPR. If it was let's say we were in the small blind, where we went 12 big blinds before the flop, and then went half pot on the flop. Obviously, I think 1/3 there still makes a good SPR for the river. I think here we're gonna be folding this in. But yeah, I'm gonna post this basically no matter what, because I really want to put a video out today. But I don't know if enough's been going on. Okay, we finally get our last 2-5 table. There's been no stars 2-5 action, despite the happy hour and everything. So, which is kind of a bummer, but whatever. Okay, we flopped the Giga Nuts. Gonna be obviously just betting it pure versus recreational. Could even maybe size up. But this is a good board for him to raise. I'm trying to think if he raises if we want to 3-bet him. I think we just call and just hope it comes high. Yeah. If he has a set now, I'm pretty sad. But we still can't fold ever versus this guy. His 5-4 got counterfeited too. He checks. He could be checking a set here, but I think when we reopen, we'll reopen. I don't expect him to be. He might have air, and I think he could have spades though. Getting it all in over here. The ace king and the 200 table. With the shorts versus the short stack 3-bet. I'll let you know if he calls. It's kind of a bummer. Maybe if we 3-bet flop, but I expect him to be 3-bet stabbing with a lot of air. And I just want to keep that air in there. If like a 7 or a 6 comes off, it looks like I can't have it as much. Just think if you 3-bet, like he just has to basically have a set for me to make all the money. I think he's raising a lot more hands than a set or 2-pair. He did not call, by the way, on the other table. So this session we are down a bit, so hoping to climb back. 10-8 here, I think it's just calling. Pretty solid flop. We never have 9-7 off. I like looked at that spot recently. So it's not a I don't think it's a leading spot. I think here now when he turns a king, we just check again a lot, or we just play a huge overbet. I think he has a lot of continues here. I'm gonna overbet. I think we should probably go a little bigger than this. I think in my head versus this type of player, something about it just made me feel like he would think this line is more bluffy. And then here we actually have to build checks, and I think ace jack's good enough to check. Or like without the backdoor, I think it's gonna be mainly checking. And at 35, I think we'll check it. Trying to think on turn what we do. 0 on a 33. I think we check again mainly. Obviously he never has ace king, we have ace king. Which is kind of like the funny part if he bets this river. I think here we can still go for value though. I think he might. I don't think he has a better hand than us too much. I think he still has to call like king jack, stuff like this. Wow. I think in this spot we find the fold. It's so hard 100 bigs though. Because this range is so nutted. This guy's like pretty standard, but like maybe we just make a standard fold. I don't know. He's like, if anything, he's like more aggressive pre-flop. So I guess we'll just call it off. Okay, good call. Let's get there once. We lost our one, run it twice earlier with the flip. Not a good start. Not a good sign to not win the first. Okay, I'll take that. That's very good news. We chopped the guy's money. Gonna be calling here. Okay, well now a 5's not even clean, which is kind of unfortunate. I think we have a decent hand to value with the river, but I don't know. I think this makes this ace-x pretty indifferent still. Oh, that's brutal. I'm gonna look at this pre-flop spot later. Let me go run that. Where is it? Oh, it was on this table. King jack's definitely squeezing here. I think like 12 is a good size, maybe 13. I think some spots you size up more, and some spots you size down because you want to be 3-betting more. But I don't think this is one of those spots. I think this spot you actually want to still be a little tighter. It's mainly spots at the big blind, I think. Where you take that like polar and you have to defend your calling range, and you actually just be a little more aggressive. Have a slightly weaker calling range because it doesn't really get exploited as much. Because like anyone trying to exploit you slows the bet into another player. Pretty sure that's my like opinion. That's what I think about the spot at least. Could be wrong. And here I think we just have to bet now. When he checks twice, I think we just go with it on a brick. Could be wrong, but I don't know. I expect this spot to overperform checking. If he calls me down, he calls me down. I don't think I can be losing too much. I think people are tighter than normal anyway. I think this is it. Okay, this isn't even an open pre. Actually, I messed up. But with the recreational and the small blind, it's like probably like, okay, because he's flatting. But even then, like it's like, do we really want to? Yeah, probably still a fold, even with the fish equity, because it doesn't really apply here, right? And then here on this board, we're just very aggressive. Like obviously, ace deuce is kind of weird. Like it almost like prefers checking slightly, probably, because it's like a shitty ace. But I think 75 with the range on that board is like honestly okay. He just has so many hands that are drawing dead versus you. Your range, like hands in your range. It's really hard to continue. I'm gonna snap fold there. I think this is pure, especially with the recreational here. Don't 3-bet me. Alright, I'll take it. I've had a lot of spots that I like to play that I haven't had recently happen. I don't know if I talked about it. I didn't get the flat or 4-bet with aces recently or anything like this. It's kind of been lame. Hadn't had a lot of spots come up that I think are pretty important to play. Okay, I think we just go 5% here. Or 20% with this type of hand. This might have been a triple. Oh, not on this one now. You need a diamond. But I think he has some AQO here, so like double blocking it is pretty important, I think. Like that's gonna be one of the offsuit hands he has the most. That has a diamond in it on the 4th diamond. I'm gonna look at that as well. I actually wanna know what I wanna barrel if the turn comes off a deuce of diamonds. Maybe like cause you don't block pairs. Maybe it's like but you still kind of block pairs. So maybe it's just like a low pocket pair. And I think here we ice with the fish. I think we just bet big with this type of hand on this board. Let me send that to myself. Happy I won one of those all-ins, because my all-in EV has been like brutal recently. Just feels good to not like get absolutely rinsed for morale. No one is sitting the 2-5 right now, which is kind of just like lame. Gonna be studying heads up and practicing it. I don't think it'll take me too long. I'll do some review for the videos, but mainly all my like off the table studying that's not just like reviewing my hands is gonna be heads up. I think for the next couple days at least. The one thing is I do want to make my preflop a little more solid. I think I've let it go. I also think it's like slightly more complicated than everyone thinks it is, and I don't take it seriously enough. From certain positions, like there's some things that if you're just not doing it, like you're just kind of griefing your EV. Picked up some hands here. I think queen 10 from these spots actually 3-bets a lot. Could be wrong. It might just have to be slightly earlier position, but on this number we're going to do it. It might be 12.5 here. It might just be 13. I think a general rule from the big blind is like when you have an offsuit combo of it, you want the suited, and then when you don't want to 3-bet the suited, you actually 3-bet bluff the offsuit. It's like kind of like it's pretty. Because basically it's just like you want the different coverage. You want some king jack, you want some. Yeah. I think here 1/3 is going to perform the best at this hand. Here we're just going to fold. Probably should have folded, but it was a recreational, so I'm not going to fold the hand with some decent playability. Yeah, last time I downswung on 500, it was also playing heads up. I think I've just had bad experiences with heads up. But maybe if I study it more, I'll actually think there's less variance in the game than there is. Because obviously you can never know until you really know, right? It just feels like when your opponent starts catching cards versus you, it's really hard to like not just lose a bunch of money. But no one really bluffs, so maybe you can just take advantage of that. And like drastically overfold. I think earlier at a spot where I probably am supposed to fold. Versus this size, I wonder if our hand starts to become indifferent. It's normally a pure fold. But honestly, it's a pure fold versus like 6.5, so imagine if I... Can't see it calling pure. What happened in this hand? I opened. Okay, on this card, we're gonna double... We'll barrel on a spade. I just think it'll perform well enough. That's my read. I think it'll perform well enough than giving it up. Like, as opposed to just losing 6 big blinds, I think bluffing here will make more than losing 6 big blinds versus this type of player. Some players, it's like obviously they're not calling, you're gonna lose like 20 big blinds too often, and yeah. But I think also the way he capped his range. That's a good way to look at bluffing, I think, also in some spots versus recreationals. Because people look at it like, oh, I just cost myself money. Like checking and giving this one up will always lose 30 bucks, right? And when your bluff works, you make 30 bucks. So yeah, sometimes you lose like what, 30 bucks, 150 bucks, but yeah, when it works, you make 60. I think this hand mixes. I need to get better with these bottom two pairs. In a lot of spots with bottom two pair, I'm kind of clueless. I think here we're gonna reopen as a big bet though, most of the time with this hand. I think he checks back some weaker jack X here, and he has to call like 3 streets at this end. Queen 9 here, I think, is like a really common 4-bet bluff out of position. I'm just gonna do it pure because I forget some of the other ones. Maybe from MP it's slightly different actually. Yeah, actually maybe from MP it's slightly different. Maybe this is a punt. Well, it's obviously a punt when that happens. Oh my god, we would have flopped absolute godlike if he just called. It's frustrating. So he trapped us. I'm trying to think if we 3-bet this hand ever. I think we're just gonna go for the call. So fucking annoying. That's like the worst card ever. Thing is, a lot of his check raises might have like hands of the 10, like 10-9, Queen 10. He's gonna bet 1/3 on this board, and with the boat outs, we're not gonna fold. Also, our hand's just too good. And then maybe he checks river. We have a lot of clubs as played. He checks, so he doesn't even bet. We're gonna check back here as well. Okay, like this run out's an absolute joke. I'm gonna shove my hand as a bluff on the river. Actually, I just realized this is like the nut bluff. I think this is like the pure combo. We have 8s and 5s. We only have 8-5 suited in this line. He has sometimes jacks, but he still had it. That's frustrating. Alright. I guess I should have known. Like, no. I'm fine with the bluff. We literally blocked his calling range here. And yeah, it's just frustrating. And I think like having a jack is not too good, because I think some of his block bets on the river do contain a jack. As played. Also, I think maybe he doesn't check jacks on turn, because there's more hands he beats. I'll run that. But I don't mind it. And also 8-5 is a good combo because we don't have too much 8-5. So it's really hard for us to be over bluffing. Like we have, for example, we have 8s and 5s almost pure. So that's 3 combos. 8-5 suited. We only have 2 combos here. We just take the 8-5 suited here. We just kind of run with it. I'm fine with that. Definitely getting rinsed this session. But I'm okay with it. Just kind of annoying to make a lot of money early. And then I've registered 2 tournaments and literally like lost every single all-in. didn't like chip up once. Lost 400 there, even though we made like 2K to start the day. So it's kind of like pretty frustrating. It's always frustrating to start up and lose, but as I get used to playing, like, because I took a break and didn't play too much today. But when you play a lot in a day, you start to like stop caring. Every session's kind of just another session. Happy I buffed that one though. Just sucks he has pocket eights, so come on, what the fuck game. 8-5, and he has pocket eights. Here we flop ace 10. I think this hand's good enough to bet for a third because he's gonna stop to call all worse hands. And also just was recreational, I don't mind betting a lot. I think we can induce a bluff here. I think he's calling maybe really wide. I don't expect like tripling this one off to get like perform too well unless he has exactly ace 9, ace 8, and ace 7. And even then when an overcard comes, we're gonna be chopping river anyway. So I'd rather just induce him to bluff. Like that, now I'm chopping versus an ace anyway. Check off flop. Kind of unblock some bluffs here, potentially. But this guy's like kind of nitty. What's the spot? Oh my god. I was under the gun in this hand. This hand's supposed to be a pure fold, but versus this guy I don't mind. Actually, maybe I have the wrong read here. I don't know if it's pure. Actually, I think it's pure fold. I think it's really low frequency. So I don't mind it, just like whatever. I think I also have an edge on like most players here. He leads, I guess we just fold. No point of defending versus that. One of the worst hands in our range. It's just so frustrating for me when I have the double blocker and the guy, like if he had jacks, I would just be like, oh, that's a cooler, but when he has a double blocker. Actually, I think I feel better that he has eights, actually. If he had jacks, I would have been like, I'd probably be thinking like I should have known he had jacks and shit. I don't know. I'm like that though. I think I'm naturally just a nitty player. It's funny because like every video it's just me going crazy, but naturally like when a bluff doesn't work, I'm pretty results based in the moment for a bit. Because I like to think people are just like so face up with their strategies in hindsight. I don't know why that. Like I have like, a slight leak in that way. Think here this is a fold on a 17. With chokers, I think Jack 9's almost 3-betting pure here, so we're gonna do that. So I know he block bets river too, because it makes our bluff odds worse. Like I went with the mindset bluffing no matter what before I saw his size. I think here when you 3-bet this hand, I think you're mostly folding. You might be folding pure. Is it ever calling? King 9 calls sometimes. I mean King 87? Is it folding pure? I'm gonna call. I might be folding pure. I saw King 10 and I lost a big blind for doing it. So. But King 10's a lot of better hand than Jack 9 maybe. He checks this board. That makes sense. He's supposed to check a lot on this board. I think our hand just wants to check back. Could be wrong. I think we get to showdown this one a lot, which is pretty nice. The thing is on the river, I don't expect to get bluffed ever, so it's kind of nice. I think we win a lot here. Nice. Wow, I check ace king of spades. I think he was going for the check all in, which makes sense. There's two ways to play this hand, which is just big bet flop. But it might just be a range check board. I'm gonna review that. I need to look at the Jack 9 anyway. And then here, I'm just gonna fold multi-way when I check. Oh, I showed a 7. I might have made an EV mistake there. Like I said, my preflop has been pretty rusty. Going to study. 9-4 here. I think it's just a pure fold. Oof. Alright, double gut in. I think I'm just gonna play this hand really aggressively versus the recreation. Okay. Snap check back. Gonna call now. Ugh. Wow, with the straight flush draw. Here I'm just gonna bet my hand still. I think also the lower flushes bet, because he has a lot more hands that can bluff. I expect him to still raise his like sets. I think I expect this size to perform the best. Maybe 30. I think the 12 big blinds, maybe it makes a big enough difference. If he shoves, I'm just gonna have to call. Just cause, like, it's a recreational, you can't know. And it's only 20 more bigs. And basically, enough of our folding range is almost bluffs that it's like almost impossible to start folding value. I mean, granted, you are supposed to be tighter because of MDF, like still, because he's less priced into bluff, because he has to risk 50 to win it all. It's supposed to, like, he's not risking 20 technically, like he would be in, let's say, if I check the river with that little behind, but so he's naturally supposed to bluff even less. This is a pure 3-bet, and I think it calls a 4-bet at this depth. It's mixing, but I think at this depth, maybe it just performs worse though, so that's not true. I just think deeper you usually call more 4-bets, unless he sizes up properly. But if he doesn't, if he goes the same size he went last time, I'm just going to be calling him. Yeah. Gonna be calling here. He checks, we're gonna be checking as well. And I think our hand's like too good to bluff. Oh, please be good. Yay! I don't understand the no turn stab with this hand. He's very passive, actually. So I really like my bluff on the river. He had to exactly. Yeah, I feel like he has to have a boat there to call me. My hand is repped so well, and that spot's never bluffed. So, and making it so unlikely my opponent has a boat, because I don't think he's ever raising flop with Jack 10 is just that's what's gonna print. I don't mind even over bluffing it. Like if I had like a hand like Jack 8, Jack 5, just sending all my 2-pair, which would be drastically over bluffing the spot. But I just expect it to print. The thing is, it's hard for my opponent to really have much. So when you have 2-pair, that's the thing. Like he basically has to have like checked clubs. Like when you have a jack, like I don't know, it's a weird line. Definitely a weird hand for sure. The block bet is kind of a tell almost in hindsight, but like it's like my hand is like, what does he really have besides like jacks? And is jacks really checking turn? It might, because he's also supposed to just bet 1/3 with range, I think, on turn. Like his check range, like he has so many flushes in his range, he might as well merge everything. Because is he really gonna check a flush? Probably not, right? Like he's probably not gonna check a flush, right? So why would you want to just only check your weekends and then like bet your flushes? You know what I mean? Like obviously he might check some if he's building a checking range, but you know what I'm saying? You really don't want to check a flush. So you'd rather range bet. I don't know. It's kind of funny. We called this guy with King 9 suited and Jack 9 suited and fucking spiked the 9 both times versus like clearly better hands. It's kind of funny. You gotta chicken out here though. I think I would have called him again though, which is kind of funny. And he would have gave up river and I would have made like heaps. Just because I block pocket kings and I block a king, like a king jack king jack suited. Why does that sound like weird to say? I think here this hand's actually mostly a fold from these positions. Versus EP, you start to call for deuce. On a need one, is it folding pure though? Is the question. I think here when I don't know, I should just start folding it because if it's a mix, like if I don't know if it's mixing or not, you can't make a mistake. Like worst case, you make a frequency mistake, but if you, how do I say this? If I call when it's not, then I'm making a direct EV mistake. Which is worse than making a frequency mistake. Gonna just be folding here, and here this guy's just donking off. I'm not gonna fold the jack. I wonder if we ever raise. Probably not. If I just let him keep spazzing out. I don't know what he has in the river. Just gonna check. Oh, that's just really fair. Block bet in the river. I don't see how I fold the jack here, so I'm running a 9. Yeah, this guy likes to trap with his blocks. It's kind of odd. I mean, I get it when you have the nut flush, like you block the top pair. But you don't block an ace, so it's not like you really block anything like insane. Like, is King X really my calling range? King X is actually kind of my calling range that calls a block. Funny enough. Maybe he just saw me spaz out earlier, so I don't know. I don't really think it was spazzing out though. Like if my opponent tabled that, I'd be like, he actually bluffed a spot. Good for him. I mean, that's obviously just like the stone bluff, like that board. It's not even because the thing about that board, it's like you never have 8-5 off. Like sometimes you have to be careful because you don't want to take all your 2-pair, like your bot 2-pair in that spot, because you have too much of it. You know what I mean? Like you probably have to roll because you have 16 combos pre of it. I mean, maybe you 3-bet it so you have 12. You know, whatever. Like if it was 7-6, you would have a mix of like 3-betting it. But A5 there, you're just gonna only have it as a call. I think here this gets in there sometimes, but 55 definitely not. I think it's a full versus the button. Could be wrong. I realize I have been overcalling the ace-x in my videos though. I think here 1/3 still performs. Actually, I'm gonna check with the diamond blocker. We're gonna check. I don't think it's very like. Is there a point in raising here? Probably not. Maybe there was. But I feel like he also has a good on 5x and is like. Right, we're playing heads up here. Just gonna check back this hand. Do I check back again to be like really stealthy? Sure. Even though we rolled a giga high number. I think I prefer with a hand like ace jack because I could actually just like go all in. Oh, that would have been a crazy spot if it was the river was a diamond, because like I would have like he would have bet river, I would have raised him, he shoves. I think a6 is never 3-betting. I could be wrong. Actually, I think it is sometimes. My heads up is rusty. This board I'm just gonna go 5 bigs. Pretty sure all the triple Broadway boards you can almost simplify, except for some reason king queen 10 you want to be checking a lot. Does this hand want to triple? Block like king queen. It might be just too good. It might just be a check call. Not having a diamond is also like kind of bad to bet turn. It's obviously good to bet river, but like I think you still want a diamond because you mainly want to get the folds on the turn. The river's just kind of whatever. I think I'm good here enough. Like I think I should check my hand. I think like you have queen jack and stuff like this. You have like pocket jacks, pocket tens. Just way better. You're just kind of overdoing it. And the king's not that good of a blocker. Because he never has ace king. Expect to lose here most of the time. Oh my god. That is just like so nitty, no? Like, first of all, that's a pure 4-bet, basically, almost pre-flop. Ace 10 off ever? I think first the button. I don't know if it does here. We obviously know he's a nit. If I roll really high, okay. But then again, that's one of the spots like I was going back to. Like I can only make an EV mistake there, and I can worst case make a frequency mistake if I fold. So I should probably, especially deep stack, I should probably just go with the frequency mistake, because the EV mistakes can get very big when we're 150 deep. I think this hand actually gets in here sometimes, but maybe not. Maybe for button mainly actually. Is it running? Nope, no 2-5 is running. My friend was in the 200. He looks like he left. Okay, I've been getting cooked on GG. It's always nice when you see a queen first and it starts to glow. You just know it has to be a queen. Actually, anything but an with having an ace in it. Oh wait, kind of sus when they open to 4 bigs. Like you just know they have something. But this guy is kind of like whatever. So trying to think if we get queens in here. Okay, here just still gonna be playing 1/3 on flop with range. It's a strategy. I think he has to call his jack X, so it's not like a jack losing. Snap call, snap check. That means he can't be like, in my opinion, too nutted. So gonna check turn and evaluate. I don't expect him to bluff this river actually. We have so much ace-x, so hopefully just has a pair. Yes, that's the exact hand I wanted him to have. We just have too much ace-x there for him to be like in reality bluffing. And I think if he bluffs, he's probably picking like a shove sizing, which is probably fine. Honestly, with his type of hand, it'd probably be okay. Here was like over better check, so I think the same place better as a check. And now here on the turn, I think. I don't know. Kind of bad. No. I guess we just check it down. It feels so bad with the hearts. I don't know. But it's also like why bet turn. I don't know. Sometimes on the spot I'm like kind of bad at pushing the equity. I'm gonna review that. I don't know. Because I play over better check in a lot of these spots because I prefer to. It's just more like it's just the strategy I prefer to play. I think more people don't know what they're doing and they're not used to seeing it. Like everyone else plays the other sides, so strats. So. But over better check, it's like they kind of just like get in this leveling war where they just assume you're hard leaning one way or the other. So if you play it really well, you can just they're gonna make one EV mistake the other way or the other, and you might be unlucky because you might be bluffing and they think you're over bluffing, or you might be having value and they think you're how do I say this? You have way less value than you should, or you have way too much value because you're overbetting. You must have it. I think queen 3 is just calling. This hand's probably good enough to raise. I'm gonna bet a third here. Just as an overall strategy, I think when he checks here, he's like giga capped. I think 1/3 is just an overall strategy is gonna be a good. He's not giga capped, but yeah, he has a lot of just snap folds, so I think I'd play a 1/3 strategy. Even though obviously my hand probably doesn't necessarily want him to fold. It's like an overall. Hopefully the fish just like goes all in here. Alright, nope. Do you ever stand a good amount of time? 50, With the roar behind viewing 35, I might just flat. He's gonna call all the lower sets. Cooler him. Obviously it's like a huge exploit, but I don't mind it. Sporty can be like decently aggressive, but we actually have a good amount of hands here. Like this can't fold a 1-bet ever. So especially when you have 2 outs to like basically the nuts. In this hand, I think we just check mostly. I don't know. I could be wrong here. I don't really want to look at it because I'm not playing cutoff versus button flats ever. He has a lot of like worse hands than me here. I think I win almost every time here. Does queen eight suited ever 3-bet? Nope. Do I get a 1-2? Let's look if GG has any 500 running. Nope. Well, this session has a. Wow, we went with the Giga Nuts and got paid $0. This guy posts. King 10's gonna be good enough here, I think. I said that like I was gonna get it all in. Gonna be checking here, and I expect to lose almost every time. Oh, snap check back is interesting. Gonna check again here. Just, I guess we check again. Probably has an ace though, by the way he's playing. I don't see them random bluffing. And the snap bet this big on the river. I'm tempted to call him. Like, is he ever gonna bluff with an ace here? It's kind of a disaster. But as played, I guess I just call. It's hard for him to have too many things. Oh, it's such a disaster. I guess that's why you shouldn't call, because he might just be a really bad, like, obviously he's really bad, but I'm saying, like, I just don't even think a fish would bluff an ace there, man. Like, really? Like, you're gonna win most of the time, just check. Snap call from him. He's getting a good place to go all in. Wow, I think we just check. We saw him bluff earlier. Maybe we just. I'm trying to think what's better. Do we just check again? No, I think he has a lot of pocket pairs. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We played this in the best possible way to get the most amount of money, I think. Do we call here with this guy in the big? First 2.5, probably not. Probably still not profitable. I overdo it. Attack the recreationals too much. I think here we can mix overbets, but I guess we'll play 1/3 here. I don't really want to check this hand too much. I think the ace side we can consider. Oh, this sucks. I don't get to fucking play my queen check suit. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god, he's dead. No! Queens! Oh, I literally have him. Okay, and now we just check here. And then here, I'm blocking the 7s. I think we just have a hand that wants to bet river. I think when he calls 1/3 a lot, like he has to call a lot of these cards and we unblock them. I think most of his king X might bet turn. So yeah, just like a targeting 10x and expect 10x to mostly call there. Don't see the merit in like check raising my hand or something like this. I think you want like a boat to do that. Because you block more of the calling range. Also, there's no 7x on the river, so like that's not really his calling range. I think this board is just overfold enough between two people that we can just bet this pure with this type of hand. Oh, this guy's so tight, but I think my hand's almost a pure call, especially at this depth. Also, we do have the equity with the 2 overs. Also, we really don't care if we get like raised or something with this type of hand. Snap call is kind of bad. I should probably tank because it makes it look like I have queens more here. I don't know if he's like, this guy seems pretty like a pretty bad player. I don't know if he's thinking like this, but wow. We actually could have ace king in this line. So it's not like, I think here we're mostly checking back. And here I'm gonna check as well. I feel like I'm never good. That's the thing. I feel like I'm literally never good. But I think my hand's too good to bluff. Hopefully it's king jack or something. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna lose 2 pots to this guy. He's just too good, man. He just has a jack here like every time. Maybe it's hearts. Hopefully it's hearts. Oh, money. That's sick. I think he has to bluff there. Because like ace-7 and ace-6 is not a big part of my range. So like, yeah, you have the flunter flush draw, but you literally are not gonna have enough hands here to bluff the river if you don't bluff this. So like sometimes people over like, oh, hearts are bad here, but like you literally don't have enough hands, and the heart blockers are so like indifferent. If you had like queen 10 of hearts maybe, king queen of hearts, okay. But completely giving up this board when I check back turn and my range is like in practice like really capped like most of the time. Like I don't know. Maybe like it's obviously some people just won't think I'm stabbing a hand like this on the flop. But this guy's obviously just too tight. Like I think this spot is like folded enough. Like you have to like just giving up 232 bucks here. Like, you can like risk 170 to win it. It's like a $460 swing. Like when you put it like that, because you never win. When you check. Obviously, there's spots where if you like gig over bluff, your opponents can start exploiting you and just checks and snapping you off way too lot, like with a lot of hands, and then you're just like, so you gotta be careful. Like there's some hands you might really want to like take your tiny showdown with, because you want me to have 7-6 there. Like if you have king queen of hearts, I could have 7-6, and then maybe I'm just like, I don't know. Here's like a similar type spot where I'm just gonna bet half ball with this type of hand. I expect them to have a good amount of pairs here. Like this Dollarama guy almost always has a pair, so it doesn't perform too well. But like my hand just does not perform better as a check. When he folds, I think I have a decent chance. Okay. Getting bluffed off my equity here kind of sucks. So I guess we just check. Hate to see it. Now what are we even repping? But I think he floats some ace high hands that we can get to fold on the river. No hand wants to bet this size. Do we shove? I'm gonna go this size. I don't know. I think the 9 is a good card to have here, because I think 9s are these types of hands. I could see him floating flop with like ace jack and then just being like, fuck, folding. He might be bluffing ace king, I'm not calling him. Which is, to be honest, a good point, so. This guy has a really big VPIP, so. We have 4 hands on him though, actually. Jesus. But that being said, I'm just doing it for recreational. Like, my read is he probably is opening too wide anyway. Like, obviously I can't know on the sample, but. Yeah, I just don't like checking this river here ever. So I'm just gonna pick a size that just performs well enough. I think he's also decently capped when he checks twice. So he's gonna have to make like a decently hard call. He might just have some hands, but especially not having an ace in our hand. Like I would probably check like almost all my ace-6 because he could have hands like we had, maybe a king queen. But losing a king queen there's just absolute disaster now. So it's just like okay. Versus this fish, I think we just like put the stab one more time. I think people can call the flop late and then they can just fold turns with like their jack X here. They're like okay, yeah. It just usually performs well the double barrel because I think people know that. In this meta, like even recreationals, that maybe not this guy in particular, but like let's say like this guy plays a good amount, like this recreational that I have a good amount of hands on, will know that people are range betting these three-bet pots like very often. Even from their live games, it's very common. So they start floating flop maybe even too wide because a lot of people just don't bluff, so they'll range bet flop with like ace king there and just give up, check back, check river, and the guy can win with pocket fives. So some people overdo it, and the double barrel just usually looks like okay, now he's got aces. Obviously, you got to be careful with it, but I do think putting in that second barrel is pretty important. And then versus this guy, I just don't think he has too many river folds for the same reason. But versus reg, I think reg, like the meta is also people start calling turn light and then they don't expect you to bluff river and they start folding. Rivers tend to be too often for the price they're getting. So the river bluffs that are already kind of like mandatory, like let's say unless you have like the front or flush blocker, you're supposed to usually go for it on the river because you're supposed to have enough value in that line, become like very profitable bluffs. I'm trying to think here. I'm just gonna go for it. Like I have the most uncapped range here by far. So overbluffing the spot, I don't mind. Whatever. Yeah, like he has to make calls like this. He has to have a hand like this. It's like, okay. He has to have a jack, basically. The reason I don't mind just like giga overbluffing the spot is just because I check twice. Like this guy checking in position, he's checked twice. Like I check out of position, right, on the flush, so like it just feels like I'm less capped. Like I could easily check an ace here, like see what people do, and when they check again, I can have them. I have the by far the best type of hands. And this hand should mix, but yeah, I didn't. This hand, again, it's still too weak, I think. Ah, pain. Hopefully feng shui doesn't just rip it. I think I'm gonna call this guy when he goes this size in position. Oh my god. He, like, I don't know. I'm just gonna have to call him down. Like, he could just be like a total whale, so. Okay, well. Check. I think we just reopen for like 1/3 here. Wow, we have the literal nuts. I don't think all in ever makes money here. So I think maybe we just go half pot. It looks more like, what could he have? Kind of FOMOing the all in when he snaps it off, but I don't know. I was actually praying for like an ace king hero call or something. I think this can 4-bet bluff sometimes, and on this number, I think I just call. No backdoor flush, kind of check on this board. I don't know. I think you actually do build a slight checking range, because I actually don't think I'm supposed to the 4-bet queens here pure. I think as play my hand is gonna pure check back though. I think we check again. I actually don't mind half pot, just really exploitively. I don't mind going half pot on this turn because I think he has to call like all his ace jack, ace king hands, and then on river those hands are never gonna pay me. So I'd almost rather kind of close the action with a half pot bet there. I think he's like giga capped in the spot, so I'd rather bet half pot. I think it's easier, let's say it's a hand like ace king that he checked twice for some reason, right? Like obviously he has ace five suited. It's also pretty fine just getting the fold equity because he's never gonna check bluff river. He's probably just committed to giving up, right? So I don't think checking has any merit with a hand like mine versus this type of player. Obviously a super, I think even in theory it's actually pretty fine. The more I think about the spot. Like a lot of my one straight hands there probably want to bet turn a good amount. Especially with the 10 blocker. And then the hands up at river are probably going to be reacting to the river. Is my read? I don't know. Here on the spot, I think we can be like betting pretty often. But I think my hand's not good enough to bet for value, funny enough. But I'm going to check. And on turn, I'm just going to start betting. It looks like, I don't know. I have the nut 10, so if he has another 10, I'm going to make a lot of money. On the river, I'm just going to bet as well. He actually has a good amount of queen X, so I think in the spot maybe we have to be more careful. Like I think if the river's a king, it's actually a different game, because a lot of like his gut shot floats here, like queen 9, queen jack, are gonna hit on the river, and also vice versa for mine, because I have so much queen X, he actually like his range can start folding a little more than it should, just naturally, because he's gonna have more queen X, I'm gonna have more queen X. But the river's a king. Like I'm kind of airballing with my king eyes, and he basically has no king X. That's not like okay, maybe he just calls king queen because he like. Whatever, but like you know what I mean. Like he doesn't have like a nut draw with the king, or like extra equity besides 2 overs. And an ace obviously he's like calling ace, so like an ace is a completely different card. I think here when he checks twice. Okay, I'll bluff on this river. It's a good river to bluff on. If he leads, obviously we just fold. Don't like re-raise fish. Bluff these fish too often. I think here you can go really small because this guy's reacted to this guy and this guy's checking range, so it puts this guy in a tough spot on a board that I'm like really strong on. So I'm just gonna go really small. It's really hard for him. Like easy call here. Easy call on river as well. This guy's too good, man. Gotta improve. Don't think this. I think this is one of the suited aces that almost never raises. Yeah, some nut flushes. Oh, we're not even 150 deep actually. Never mind. So a lot of suited aces would flat. How long have I been recording? Wow, I've been recording 50 minutes. All right. I think this video should be good enough to upload. Hopefully my mic's been good. I had some crazy bluffs. This hand is an open from the cutoff, and this guy, like, I'm not even considering him. So I think he would just open raise if he had a stronger hand. So I don't mind ISOing him. I think the actual implied odds make me want to even go slightly wider. Obviously, if he's like slightly decent, it probably becomes you want to be a slightly tighter. But depends just how bad they are. And to be fair, this guy could be like somewhat okay. It just might be like a live player. Small bet here is still pretty good. And here I think we just go big bet. I think here we're just gonna fold. My hand is like terrible. He obviously has super down, but he's shorter. God damn it. Now here we're just not gonna bluff. We want them to have this type of hand. Yeah, he probably says a queen. Okay, he's just he had the gut shot though. 4 diamonds, where are you? Alright, we got 9s here. Oh. This value village guy seems to blunder a lot of his 3-bet pots, so fish in the big blind, 9s is a pretty good spot. Alright, I'm gonna close this table so I get less hands. What do we got? 52 minutes. I'm playing for 2 hours now. This guy will be getting in this hand. Don't expect this guy to be trapping, he's like pretty capped. Obviously won't like giga fast, but whatever. Let's get one more all in for the video. Fold. This guy calls, it's kinda like what the fuck is he calling with? Out of position here, he should not have any calls. Well played. I don't mind him flatting to chase the fish, but his range is 2 face up, out of position to be calling there. It's just not profitable. Like obviously there's some boards where it's like, wow, you have a lot of like 6, 5s, 4s, and 7s and 8s, bro. But like, so if it comes to 8, 7, 6, yeah, I might lose. But most of the time, you're just gonna have to check fold like 60% of the flops, and putting in 8 big blinds is just never worth to do that. Because also you don't really make that much on 8, 7, 6 boards. That's like the leak. So unless he's mixing ace king and broadways and stuff. I don't know, yeah. But even in the broadways, I'm gonna call because they're all usually offsuit. So that's why you just have to be pretty cautious. And that's why flatting with an unbalanced flatting range in like positions like the small blind and the button is, especially the small blind because you're out of position, is usually not very good. The only time I do it is with the big recreation on the big blind, or when I'm actually like trying to play the strategy. Like I looked at it that day and I'm like, no, I'm gonna be calling my ace king in that spot, then I don't mind it. I usually prefer to call the overs because I think people misplay more on the higher boards versus you than they do on the lower ones. The lower ones, if anything, they're overfolding. So it's like the higher ones, the higher cards perform better because you can bluff on the lower ones, and then you can have hands on the higher ones. Whereas the lower ones, they just overfold, and you have a low card anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna call the video. Thanks everyone for watching, and yeah.